There's a new mode in Pokemon Masters and it's called Battle Rally. And so far I'm enjoying it, but it's a pretty difficult mode, especially when you don't have enough units or EX rolls. So in this video I'm going to give you some recommendations on how to tackle the Battle Rally and also look at what items would be great for purchasing to help you through the stages, which units to build up for the Battle Rally. And we're going to briefly talk about how to maximize your points, because by building up your points, eventually you'll be able to exchange for some roll cakes, which are the endgame item at this moment in the game. Welcome back to another Pokemon Masters video, it's Bro Vinny here. In order to access the Battle Rally, you need to have the Battle Rally Pass, which you can obtain every week through the mission rewards. And all you have to do is log into the game in order to get this pass. We are also given a few extra ones to start us off when the game mode was first released, which is why I have 3 right now. And you will want to build up as many of these points as possible and minimize their use, because you want to go to the exchange shop and try and get as many of these exchange vouchers, these roll cake coin vouchers, and possibly some gold tickets as you can, because if you don't get them after a month, they will go away and then a new lot will come into the shop. So where you can, try and get all 20 vouchers. 34,000 Battle Rally medals, which means that in about 4 weeks, which means 4 Battle Rally passes, every week you should try and earn 8,500 points. So every Battle Rally pass should earn you this much. Thankfully, we start off the game with 500 free points. And there are 10 areas, that means every single area you want to earn at least 800 points on average. And the way the point system works is that if you attempt the normal difficulty, you will get 100 points. Hard difficulty gets 200 and very hard difficulty gets 300. But you'll be able to earn more if your units that you use match these rolls. And if I assume that you haven't unlocked any EX rolls yet, then the most multiplier you can get is 2.5 times from selecting 3 units that match the roll up here. But if you have any units that have the EX roll, so for example my Moltres here, that matches 2 of the rolls because it has both Tech and EX support, then your multiplier goes up. And the multipliers are additive, so for every unit that you have matching 1 roll, you get an additional 0.5 multiplier. So in this case, I'll get a total of 2.5 times 300 points. 300 because it's a very hard stage, it will be 2.5 times that, which is still only 750 points. So that still leaves me short despite hitting the very hard stage from the 800 that I need. So here are some ways to get more points than just having 3 units that match this roll. Number 1, like I said before, get some EX roll cakes into your units. So hopefully you've unlocked a few EX roll cakes now, and I'm not going through EX roll cakes in this video, but just to show you guys what sync pairs can EX roll, you click the EX roll over here, and then I just clear all the filters, and I click in the filters, EX roll locked. So in other words, I haven't unlocked that roll and I may have the cake for it. I can also select the unlocked ones, that means the ones I've already used the roll cake for, which I've done so for 4 units. Now there aren't too many EX roll units that have EX rolls at the moment, so I would recommend that you go through all of your units to see what roll cakes are needed. Then you can go exchange for it with your roll cake coins or tickets and so on. But the most important ones you want to be able to use roll cake coin or roll cakes on are support units or any non-support units that EX to become support units. So for example, Lucario and Cynthia here is exceptionally good because she unlocks sprint roll. And because field and sprint rolls are not common at this moment, you're going to have a tough time trying to find a unit that matches the multiplier, unless it's a unit you already have that can EX roll. So for example, there's Cynthia here. So if the sprint roll does come up in the Battle Rally, then Cynthia can be used and still earn the multiplier. Even better if the 2 rolls are both matching that of Cynthia. So support and hope, if this is sprint, which this is, actually in this case, it is both support. So if I actually EX roll cake Cynthia right now, she'll be able to get me 2 times the multiplier as opposed to 1.5. But I'm also going to show you how I'll be able to reuse Cynthia for 6 stages in a row. It sounds crazy, but hear me out. We're going to start with the tips for how to prepare for the battle rally first. So in order for you to know what stages are upcoming, there's 3 ways you can do it. One is you can use this investigate scope thing, which only unlocks 1 stage. It's a bit cheaper, but it's really not worth it because if you have to do that every single stage, it's going to cost you a lot. You can use the CO scope, which is only available at the start of the battle rally. So the CO scope allows you to see all the stages for 300 points. Now, to me, 300 points is a huge investment, but to most people, it's worth it. For the people who have a wide roster of sync pairs, it's not necessary. You should be able to find enough broken units even by the time you get to Area 10. Note that Area 10 is 100 times harder than Area 1 in terms of the difficulty, but also Area 10 has special conditions similar to that of an ultimate battle, which is extremely difficult. So stages 1 to 9 get progressively harder until Area 10, which is extremely difficult. But when you get to that stage, there are some really broken items that you can purchase with your points if you can't clear that stage, like the Apple Cup, for example, which makes your units super powered, and you'll be able to clear even Area 10 with this, but it's quite expensive to get. Probably still better than choosing retire, meaning that you give up on the stage, in which case you only get a fraction of the medal rally points. So if you have to, go buy the Apple Cup to beat that final stage. But if you don't have to, so in my case, I've never had to buy the Apple Cup, just try and beat it, the very hard stages up to Area 10 without buying the Apple Cup. Other popular items to get are the ones that stack with the freebie that you got. So what I'm talking about is this thing here. At the start of any battle rally, you get randomly assigned one of these freebies. So in this case, it's Dark Upgrade, which provides my team with a boost of 100% on attack, special attack, defense, special defense. So basically every stat, if there is a dark type on my team. And it could be a theme as well. It could be a region. It could be a number of things. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. If you're lucky enough to get one of these that match a lot of your units, then try to fit one in every single team. So I'll need 10 teams that all have at least 1 dark unit. But it gets better if you stack it with another one. So if I buy another dark upgrade, it'll be even more powerful. This would become 200%, so your units will get even better. But if the theme here is very bad, let's say you don't have a lot of units with that theme, then you might want to switch to one of the other medals instead. But then you will lose the effectiveness of that first freebie, building up from 100% again, as opposed to stacking on top of the freebie that you got, which is, I would say, the best value, but also gives you more power. But before you do any of that, first thing you should do is actually go to Poma Tools with this. So if you don't know Poma Tools, make sure you go get Poma Tools. It's like the main thing that you need for Pokemon Masters. There is now a new function, a new feature under Menu, under Battle Rally, where you can input the 2 roles that you got at the start. And as it seems, the roles for the rest of the stages are actually set. So even though the stages themselves and the typings of units that come up are randomized, at the very least you know which roles you'll need moving forwards, as long as you know the roles for the first area, which is always known. And here you can see that I'm going to need 3 sprint units for the first 3 area. Well, the good news is, as long as my Cynthia doesn't die, and I start using it from Area 1, which, by the way, in Area 1, Cynthia gives me 2 times the bonus. And if I get enough, let's say, MP refreshes, so that it remains viable for the next few stages, well, I can use it 3 times in a row. But if I swap out Cynthia at any point, and then I clear a stage, Cynthia can no longer be used, or if Cynthia dies in any of these stages. But because Cynthia is also a support type, I can actually use it for the next area as well. And then 2 more areas after that. And only until Area 7 I can no longer use my EX Roll Cake Cynthia. So my plan for tackling this battle rally, and it will be a bit different for you. You need to look at your units and what's upcoming for your areas. My plan is to give an EX Roll Cake to Cynthia. And because EX Roll Cakes are so rare, you need to think about this very carefully. How often are you going to need the unit that you're giving the EX Roll Cake? And I would recommend that you only use the cake when you actually need a broken unit this many times in a row, like myself. And also take a look at this. Cynthia will once again provide 2 times multiplier for Area 5. So, if I didn't have any EX Roll Cake units on my team, I would normally only get 750 points. But because I have Cynthia and Lucario on the team, I will now get 900 points for 2 of the stages, which helps me achieve that 800 point average for that battle rally. And at this point, I should mention that you should try to avoid using your best units early on. You should always try to get the most multiplier, but you shouldn't use all of your best units early on. In my case though, Cynthia is going to be used all the way up to Area 6, so it's totally fine to use Cynthia early on. Again, as long as I can get enough MP refreshes, so that the trainer move can be used in the subsequent areas. Otherwise, any units that you bring, once you swap them out or they lose or they run to 0 health, they can't be used again. So if you use all your best units like Red and Articuno or Zapdos in like Area 1, you're going to be stuck once you hit Area 10 up here when it's like Ultimate Battle. I would also recommend that you save rebuff units because it's not uncommon to see the need for rebuff units in Ultimate Battles in Area 10, and rebuff units are rare. So if you use all your rebuff units early on, you're going to be stuck when you get to Area 10. So once again, make sure you EX roll units only when they give you multipliers that are 2 times for a stage, and also a unit, and the same unit should be very powerful, able to be used in any stage. So things like support units. Support units are commonly viable in almost every single stage because they, like Cynthia, for example, buffs defense, special defense, that can be used anywhere, and it has potion. Whereas your strikers, you'll find that really you should be focused on the super effective units, which is going to be different every single area. So where possible, your support units will probably be prioritized for EX roll cake, but only use them if you can get them to sort of link up multiple times in a row. Now, if you do use the See All scope, you should build your team starting with Area 10, so work backwards, because you're going to need your strongest units for Area 10. I've never used the See All scope myself. I haven't needed to, and I don't plan to use it at all, or Apple Cups. I'm trying to save my points for the roll cake coins, but if you do, plan backwards, because you're going to need the best units from the top. And never forget to also have one of these units on your team to maximize your team's power. Now, if you're lucky enough, there's one more way to get extra points, and it's called a lucky area. I've never seen this before, but then again, I've only done 20 stages in Battle Rally, but apparently it's quite rare. Now, if you get this, the stage itself is going to be giving you 600 points, and apparently it's super easy. Like, you would clear it, it's almost like Blissey Bonanza. So bring your weakest units, but also your units that give you the most multiplier, because you want to multiply that 600 by as high as possible. In fact, if you bring 3 units that all match both rolls, in other words, they also have EX roll unlocked, and they match exactly, which is unlikely, but let's say they do all match exactly, you're going to get a whopping 600 times 4, which is 2400 medal points, just for one stage that you just cheese. But how often this occurs, I'm not 100% sure. If you know, let me know sort of what chance of this happening. Is it 10%? Is it 1%? And I would also save some roll cakes for these stages because the multiplier is that good. So that's all I have to say about how I maximize my points. I'm going to EX roll cake my Cynthia in order to get that sweet, sweet multiplier. And because Cynthia is so good anyway, so EX roll unlocked. So this is how I would build my team. I would have Cynthia in position 1 because as a support unit, it'll probably be in position 1 for the next 6 stages. Then while I have the filter for the bonus battle on, I would also make sure I have a dark unit. I only have 5 dark units here, but that's only accounting for support and sprint types because that's what bonus battle is selecting for. So all of my dark units together, well, there's actually a few more which will have the multiplier for later stages. So don't worry too much about having limited options at this stage. It's all about selecting one so that at least you get that bonus upgrade from the freebie. But don't choose your best unit. So for example, Calum is so good that I would avoid using him. And since this is only area 1, I'm going to choose a unit where I don't commonly use. So that would either be Sawyer or this girl here. Then for my third unit, I'm going to choose something that is type effective. But unfortunately, I also need a striker. I don't have a striker on this team because for the multipliers, it's asking me to bring a unit that has this. Now I've got 2 options. One is I can go to my EX roles again. So this time filtering for dark types and also lock EX roles. Looking at my dark types to see which one can EX roll for either sprint or support. Then it'll get the extra bonus for the multiplier in area 1. So for example, Selena and Umbreon can get support roll cake. This one's not what I need because that's a striker roll cake. And this one's a tech roll cake. So actually, and plus Calum is itself support anyway. So if I was to pick one to give EX roll cake out of these 3, I would give Umbreon. But it would be a little bit of a waste to use a roll cake on a unit that you might not use often or isn't broken to start with. So in actual fact, I'm not going to use it on Umbreon. Since this is only area 1, I'm pretty much guaranteed to beat it with a strong enough unit. So what I'm going to do is I just won't choose a dark type unit. I'll just choose something else that also does decent damage. And the damage dealers are often not the support type, so I'm going to select sprint. And there we have it, a number of very powerful DPS units, probably a bit overpowered for this stage. So maybe I'll just choose Pormo because Pormot I haven't really heavily invested in to try and beat this stage. Don't forget to grid your Lucario, for example, like me, for MP refresh. So for Lucario, it would be this grid node here, and not to proceed with the stage unless you get the MP refresh. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in the next turn in the next area without this trainer move. And now you can see why support units that have EX roll or any unit that can get support roll in their EX unlock is going to be very good for Battle Rally, because sometimes the game will ask you to not use supports at all. And we all know that support units are like vital things in any team because they take damage, they buff your whole team so you don't waste time having the striker or the DPS self-buffing, clearing the stage earlier. So in these 2 areas, for example, where I'm not suggested to use a support role, I can still bring a support unit as long as it belongs to the other role on that same unit. So for example, Cynthia and Lucario, I can bring and still get some bonuses. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments section below. And I've done a number of these videos where I just do 10 areas just to show you guys how I beat them already. So you guys are welcome to check those out as well. Hopefully this video helps you guys prepare for the Battle Rally. And if it did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe.